So we're getting close to the halfway mark of Blade being out in Honkai Star Rail. So today I want to go over whether I think players should summon for Blade or for Kafka. Now, before I get to it, if you're enjoying the Honkai Star Rail content and want to see more, definitely be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell. So, the short answer for whether you should go for Blade or Kafka if you're summoning in 1.2 is that since both characters are going to be DPS characters, they're going to be focusing on doing a lot of damage, it really comes down to the type of playstyle you want to have, because Blade and Kafka have two very different playstyles. So I'm going to talk about each of them in depth, and hopefully that'll help out with you figuring out which one you would enjoy more, and then you can go from there. So I'm going to start with Blade since he is out currently. So Blade, as I'm sure we probably all know by now, is a wind character on the path of destruction. So he does have a higher aggro value, so he'll be taking attacks more consistently. And his main sort of gameplay mechanic is that he will sacrifice his HP whenever he uses his skill, his enhanced basic attack, and his ultimate to increase the amount of damage he does. And yeah, this makes him a pretty solid DPS character, just because he's going to be able to, based off his HP, and also based on the percentage of his max HP and whatnot, he's going to be able to do a lot of damage. Plus, he does have a really neat follow-up attack as well that will trigger every 5 times that you have his HP reduced, whether it's if enemies hit him or if you're reducing it with his own mechanics with his HP drain, which is definitely a very interesting playstyle. I wouldn't say it's super unique because we already do have another character in the game, being Arlen, who has a similar playstyle, and this playstyle is not, foreign to other Hoyoverse games. So it is just a playstyle that I think is dependent on the player, because some players might not like the HP drain kind of playstyle. I personally am hit or miss on it. And for Blade to function at his best, he really needs characters on the team that could sustain his HP drain. I did make a video about different team options for Blade, and I think his best partner is going to be Luocha. So if you do have Luocha, then I think Blade becomes a lot more valuable. But even if you don't, and you're running either Natasha or Bailu, or even in 1.3, if you want to pull Lynx, you're going to be able to have a healer with him that's going to be able to make him very good. Or even better than he already is. Because I do think he is just very solid on his own. But then, having healing characters, having support characters that'll buff his damage even more, just makes him a very solid damage dealer. And the one other thing that I'll say for Blade is that he tends to work on more, I'm going to say, traditional team comps. And what I mean by that is it's team comps that have a main damage dealer, some support characters, whether it be to, increase his damage, decrease enemy defense, or any other type of support. And then you have Asta that increases speed. That could also be something. Depending on what route you want to go with, you can do that for the supports, and then having a healer. And you can also have a sub DPS as well, if you wanted to run Serval or someone else like that for a little extra damage. But Blade is more than fine being the main solo DPS while just pumping support into him and having a healer as well. So that's my rundown on Blade. So if you want to play that kind of playstyle, then I would recommend summoning for him. But now I'm going to get into Kafka. So Kafka is a lightning character on the path of Nihility, and her playstyle is going to be very unique. And it's definitely more unique now because, or more unique than Blade, even though once Kafka releases, there'll actually be more characters that have that playstyle than Blade's playstyle. But the fact of the matter is, her playstyle focuses on DOT, which is damage over time. And right now, before her release, the only character that really focuses on DOT is Sampo. So Sampo has been in a weird spot for a while. But now that Kafka's coming out, he is going to be able to have a much better place. I've been building up my Sampo in preparation for pulling Kafka, because I think he's going to be incredibly good with her. And, we're just going to see how things go from there for Sampo. But then also the release of Luka, with Kafka as well, and the fact that both of them are going to be on her banner is going to be huge for people. So if you are pulling for Kafka, there is a good chance that you'll be able to pull at least a Sampo and a Luka. So you're going to be able to build the DOT team very nicely. And yeah, the DOT playstyle, I would say it's less traditional than, like the normal team comps where you have like that one main damage dealer, and then you like pump support into them, and then they, just do a lot of damage. DOT teams are more kind of like rounded in terms of how much damage everyone can do, because each of the characters is going to be having a different kind of effect. So Kafka is going to have the lightning, DOT, and shock. Then, Sampo is going to have wind shear, and then Luka is going to have bleed. So that's 3 different types of damage, and while the numbers for, DOTs might be decent on, like, well, not even for DOT, while their, like, normal damage numbers might be, like, decent, their DOT will start to stack up, especially if you're running multiple DOT characters. And one of the cool things with Kafka's kit, actually, is that when, I'll take a look at this more once we get closer to Kafka's release, but whenever she ultimates, she automatically applies all of, like an instance of DOT damage for all the DOTs currently on an enemy, which is super huge because if you're running Kafka, Sampo, and Luka, you're going to be able to inflict 3 different types of DOT as well as her ultimate damage. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Kafka is going to perform with them, and I do plan on building having all 3 of them built and running them on a team together. But yeah, because DOT is very much like mainly doing the damage once the enemy takes their turn as opposed to doing the damage when you have your turn, it's definitely a unique way to, build a team that wasn't really like a thing until Kafka's release. So yeah, it is going to be very interesting, but if that's the kind of playstyle that you want to have, then I would definitely say pulling for Kafka is a great idea. Plus, her banner is very good for people who want to play this playstyle, even if you don't have Sampo right now, because you're going to be able to pull Sampo, you're going to be able to pull Luka, because they're featured on the banner. And then, hopefully you win your 50-50, or if you're on Guaranteed, you can get your Kafka. And then just right there, that alone, plus, Natasha being a free healer, you have a team right there, and that team is going to perform very well. But yeah, overall, it really comes down to whether you want to, stick with the more traditional team comps and go for Blade, or if you want to try out the new DOT sort of meta that's going to start and, get Kafka, get Luka, get Sampo, and have them ran together with the healer. But yeah, let me know what you think of these characters and, which ones you're going to summon for. But with that, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, all that fun stuff, and I will see you all next time.